we're going to go ahead and get started. The first thing we're going to do is we are absolutely blessed to have an award to be given. Vice President and Executive Bonnie Grabenhofer is here. Bonnie is going to tell us about this award and about the recipient of the award. Everybody come on and get your seats, and we're going to get this party started. Thank you.
Hi, thanks for getting up and getting registered and through all the stuff, and I am thrilled to see you here. As many of you know, I'm from Illinois, so it's with, yay, Illinois, and the Great Lakes, and from the United States. So it's with especially great pleasure that I introduce our 2013 Woman of Impact recipient, Representative Jan Schakowsky. Yeah. We met at a NOW meeting long ago when Jan first ran for the Illinois General Assembly. She served there 8 years, and we were fortunate to have her as a frequent speaker at Illinois NOW conferences during that time. Then she was elected to Congress, representing Illinois' 9th District, where she serves as the House Democratic leadership as Chief Deputy Whip. Throughout her career, Jan has been a champion for women's rights. Since I've been in D.C., whenever there was a women's issue, a hearing, a meeting, a rally, a demonstration, Jan's been there, lending her voice, supporting women's rights. The Women of Impact Award is presented each year to an elected official whose work has turned the tide in our struggle to bring about equality for all women. Throughout her career, Jan has demonstrated a commitment to widening opportunities by fighting for taxes to be fairly distributed, working to improve the lives of working and middle-class families, and achieving economic parity. Jan has done incredible work to protect women from violence. She was crucial in passing the Inclusive Violence Against Women Act. She also introduced an International Violence Against Women Act and the Violence Against Immigrant Women Act, which would help immigrant victims access resources needed to escape abuse. Her work to establish transitional housing for women and children who are victims of abuse shows her extraordinary dedication to our mutual causes. Jan has made affordable health care a top priority and was instrumental in the passage of the Affordable Care Act. She is a strong supporter of marriage equality, comprehensive immigration reform, and is proudly pro-choice. Serving on the National Commission for the Fiscal Responsibility and Reform, Jan presented her own balanced budget proposal without cuts to Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. She's also been generous with her time and energy to encourage and help elect other women, adding strength and numbers to the feminist voices in Congress. At one point, when an anti-choice person was the only one running in my district, I thought, well, maybe I should run for office. And Jan was the first person I called. One of the things she said was, the first thing we need to do is, I'm going, we. She made me feel like I wasn't alone in this. And NOW is grateful to have such a strong advocate in Congress because we know we're not alone in this. So thank you for all you do for women. Please join me in a warm welcome for Jan Schakowsky, our 2013 Women of Impact Award.
We are a we. We are a we. Thank you so much, my sisters. I see at least a couple brothers here. Yeah, glad to see you. I say my sisters and very secure brothers who are here. We are a we. There's no question about it. I want to posit something first by saying I believe that this 21st century is the century of women, where women will step forward and take power. And what we're seeing now in this war on women is the last gasp of the right-wing white guys that are so afraid of us. And all of the things that Bonnie said that I appreciate, partly attributing to me, is certainly equally, if not more, attributable to the National Organization for Women. So I want to thank you very much for all the work that you do. I love Terry. I love to watch her on television as a spokesperson for all of us, that clear and sharp voice. I love Bonnie. Thank you so much for that great introduction. We have gone back a very long way, not as far as Gay and Bonnie, but for her a while back there. I want to just do a shout out to my girlfriend Pat Roos for all the fighting that we've done. So great to have you here. Yeah, Pat. Co-conspirator and activist, let's take to the streets person. I love that. And all of my local heroes, women in the state legislature, Robin Gable and Elaine Nekrtiz and Heather Steans, who are here and you'll hear from later. I'm just proud to be. Karen Lewis, another hero of mine, head of the Chicago Teachers Union. We need to talk. I'm going to meet with the mayor pretty soon, so I want to talk to you. Okay, we'll get it straight here, or at least I'll try and straighten him out. Anyway, so what I mean is, this is the moment for us to be everywhere, on everything, organizing. As a great woman organizer, Mother Jones said, "Don't mourn, organize." And so we have to get busy right now because, this really is, we're seeing all these things passing, but I believe strongly that women aren't going to take it. I'm so happy to see young women here, interns that are working so hard, and we need to mobilize that generation. After all, when it comes to reproductive rights, all I can really be is nostalgic, right? You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? I remember a sign, post-menopausal women nostalgic for choice, yeah. So anyway, but we need to mobilize our young sisters and brothers. When it comes to contraception, when it comes to choice, this is about all of us, and we have to engage that generation. So I want, and congratulations on the passage of the Violence Against Women Act. Really, you deserve that. It was a long time in coming, that reauthorization, and frankly, it wouldn't have happened. It absolutely would not have happened in the House of Representatives if they hadn't been shamed into doing it by the work that you had done. So thank you very, very much. So I know they're holding up minute signs here, and I don't want to be too long, but you know what's going on. The House passed the Pain Capable Unborn Child Protection Act. Really. And then of course, what it does is the 20-week limit on having any abortion. And as part of the committee consideration of the bill, the sponsor, Trent Franks, decided once again to venture into that quack science and in advancing his opposition to an exemption for rape victims because, quote, the incidence of rape resulting in pregnancy are very low. they never learn. They can't help themselves. And I have to tell you, the more they do that, the better off we are. Because all women, Republican women, independent women, hear that as a tremendous insult to them. And so those are the people that we have to go after. And of course, it's going on at the state level everywhere. I'm sure you'll hear more about that. My wonderful staff listed all the, some of the things that are happening at the state level. Terrible things that are happening, but I really do believe that if we are successful in organizing, look what Wendy Davis did, standing up there. Isn't she just a tremendous hero? Her filibuster defeated the bill for the moment, but of course, the governor is calling a special session and coming back. But she highlighted how ridiculous, how terrible, how unacceptable this bill is, and all the women that came to the Capitol to stand. It's just incredible. And so I really believe that we can win. I don't want to just talk, though, about reproductive rights. We were able to defeat the Farm Bill that cut out of the SNAP program $20 billion. That would have taken 2 million, it was a tremendous victory. And they also added an amendment that said that states could keep the money if they were to have a work requirement of 20 hours a week for even disabled people, for families, single moms with children who can't afford childcare, for unemployed people who can't find a job. They would have been ineligible for food stamps for the SNAP program under the amendment that passed. So mean, so vicious. And I think most Americans, certainly every great religion in the world says feed the hungry. It's unbelievable that they would do that, and the bill failed. They have not yet passed the Paycheck Fairness Act that would allow women to have equal pay for equal work. Imagine, the first bill passed in the 60s to do that. And we are still at 77 cents, and women of color at far, far worse. We have a lot of work to do, but I really do believe that we represent, I know, I don't just believe it, it's not just my thinking, we have all the polling, that we represent the majority of Americans. That is our winning strategy. We are the majority. And so I can't emphasize enough that what we are facing today is simply a nuts and bolts organizing challenge that we have right now. To go out, we know that single women in particular, and that means everyone, women on Medicare and Social Security that we need to protect, young women, divorced women, all kinds of single women are steadfastly in our corner. I want to end with this. I know that the time's up. There is a relationship between their effort to limit voting rights. Now, we won, that week of the Supreme Court was kind of yay boo. How fantastic were the decisions on marriage equality? Let's hear it for marriage equality. It still doesn't mean, Illinois women, that we haven't won it yet here in Illinois. States still have to pass a rule. Please do that. So I want to go to your wedding. Okay. But what a fantastic declaration by the Supreme Court. But at the same time, on voting rights, it was a disaster. And so I definitely want to make sure you get the connection. They want to keep the people, the very people who might support our positions from voting, from just making it harder to vote. And so we need to be thinking about major voter registration drives all across the country. We need to kind of do a redo of the Mississippi summer, except not just have it in those states and the voting rights states, but everywhere, where we go door to door and make sure that everyone who is eligible to vote gets registered to vote and comes out. Those are more likely to be progressives, people who support us on all these different issues. And so I want to engage every single person in that organizing effort. I stand with you. You're the best. You're always out there fighting. How many years is it of the national? Almost, okay, 50 years. Hey, happy 50th anniversary. I'm so happy. So thank you, everybody. I really appreciate being here today and getting this award. And having a senior moment. The founder of NOW, the president. Okay. I'm not seeing them, but I understand that Patricia Ireland and Ellie Smeal, where are you?
Patricia's
Ellie, Patricia, oh my God. Ellie came to Illinois when we tried to pass the Equal Rights Amendment. It was unbelievable hand-to-hand combat almost in the Capitol, and we didn't quite make it, but thank you, Ellie and Patricia. Fantastic. Thank you.
And here's this award, the Woman of Impact Award.
Okay. Okay. And in the theme of I look at this as women of impact. Thank you now. Thank you, my sisters.
So, thank you all very much. We're now going to do some business, the business portion of the conference. The first order of business is going to be, I'm going to look for Toby Abrams, the chair of the Registration and Credentialing Committee. Will Toby come forward? There you are. Oh, and I'm calling this meeting to order. And before I introduce Toby Abrams, I would like to introduce Dorothy Demarest. She is our parliamentarian. She is absolutely invaluable. She's going to keep us on track and following the rules, like calling the meeting to order. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate her help. She's just been amazing. Toby Abrams is the chair of the Registration and Credentialing Committee, and I will ask you to give your report.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. Madam President, we have submitted the list of names of the voting delegates of the conference and their alternates who have been registered up until 9:30 a.m. this morning. The number of voting delegates at the conference registered now is 129. We don't have alternate delegates registered yet. The number of now members who have registered but are not delegates is 59. So 59 people sitting in this audience could vote, but you have not gotten delegated, and if you need to do that, we can take care of that later. Other conference registrants, we have 36. That would include non-members and visitors and guests. We have 1 parliamentarian, and we had 1 dignitary. The total registered as of 9:30 this morning is 225. On behalf of the committee, I move that the roll of delegates hereby submitted be the official roll of the voting delegates of the conference as of this time.
Thank you, Toby. And the motion does not need to be seconded because it has been offered on behalf of the committee. So the question is on the adoption of the Registration and Credentialing Committee's report as presented. Is there debate? Hearing none?
No. One thing I'd like to bring up, anyway, I'll speak loudly. Yeah, you know.
I can repeat what the now member has to say.
My name is Ethel Guttenberg. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, formerly from Long Island, Huntington now. Been a very proud member of NOW for a lot of years. And, you know, I just wanted to say something with the credentialing because I think that at this point in time, there are a lot of members not credentialed. Why do we still have to do this process if we are a paid member in good standing and we've registered for the conference why can't we just credential all of our members to vote? I think this is something that we really need to deal with. You know, we have voting problems all over the country.
Right.
And we need to deal with this in our organization.
Ethel, thank you so much for your comments. They're not germane, but they are very much appreciated. And so that is a debate that is happening within the organization at many levels. But what's in order now is to vote on the, or debate on the report of the Registration and Credentialing Committee. Yes, Linda. Linda Michaelowitz from Florida. Yes, I'm recognizing you.
I heard 129 registered delegates, is that correct?
Yes.
The rule still requires 200 signatories for a resolution. That's going to be rather difficult.
And thank you, Linda. And we are going to get to the conference rules portion in just one moment. So right now, do I have any more comments on the registration and credentialing report? If not, are we ready to vote, please? All in favor of the report, please raise your voting cards really high up so I can see them with the little dot in the back. All right. Thank you. You can put your voting cards down. All opposed? Any opposed? Gordy, did you really want to vote twice? Okay, thank you. Any opposed? Raise your voting cards if you're opposed. All right, thank you. The ayes have it, and the credentialing report is approved. Thank you very much. Now, what do we do?
Thank you, Joanne. Okay. You can read that, or I'll read that?
Yeah.
Okay. For credentialing, if you joined now in March 2013, that's this year, or before, you are eligible to seek a credential and are reminded to go to the registration and credentialing table, which is out in the hall, to get credentialed.
Great.
I think that's the end of the report, Madam Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Report again.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks, Toby. All right. And thank you so much. Toby Abrams and Cliff Fiedler have been the co-chairs of the Registration and Credentialing Committee for quite a while, and their work has been amazing and fabulous, and we really, really appreciate it. It is not, it's sometimes a thankless job. The next order of business is the proposed conference standing rules, and I will ask Joanne Tosti-Vasey, the chair of the Rules Committee, to come forward.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to be doing the conference rules section. First thing I would like to do is to point out a couple of typos, just so that things are clear to you and don't get confusing. On page 34, under Resolutions, Section 6, Section A, number 1, the last line in that paragraph says Section 4E of these rules. It should say Section 5E of these rules. And although this is outside of the rules, it refers to the rules. So on page 36, in second column, under who can sign petitions and or vote on resolutions, the second paragraph refers to page 36. It should refer to page 32. I now move on behalf of our committee the adoption of the proposed conference rules as corrected.
Thank you, Joanne. And again, because this was proposed on behalf of the committee, it needs no second. I do see debate. Yes, at the mic.
Okay, go, Jackie.
Okay.
Good morning. I'm Jackie Steingold, delegate from Wayne County now, which is in the Detroit area.
Thank you, Jackie, and let me say thank you very much for your good modeling behavior. When you go to the mic, it's wonderful if you will say who you are and what part of now you're from. Thank you.
You're welcome. I only wanted to draw people's attention to there's new people here that have never been to a NOW conference. And I always recommend now 101 with Terry to learn about a lot of things. But I wanted to draw your attention to letter B, number 2, on page 33, that even though only delegates can make motions, any now member can debate. So you can freely come to the microphones to make a comment, to object, do whatever. You only can't make the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. That's a very good point. We really do want to have as inclusive an experience as possible for everyone. Is there more debate on the rules? Yes, at the mic.
Caleb Files, I'm from Kansas City, Missouri, the Vice President of Missouri now. Just paying special attention to 6 resolutions B2. Since we don't have 200 members, I would suggest or move that the number be reduced to 100 so that it would be more adequate so that resolutions could be passed at this conference.
So the motion is that rather than 200 signatures on petitions required for the petition to become a resolution to be submitted to the conference on Sunday, that the number be 100. That is the proposed amendment. Yes. Here's the parliamentary procedure we're going to follow. That's a proposed amendment to the rules. We're going to hold it in abeyance, and I'm going to ask if there are any other proposed amendments to the rules, because procedurally what we should do is pass all the rules other than those that are proposed to be amended, and then get to the amendments. So let's hold that one on the side for a moment, and yes, at the mic.
I propose a substitute motion that the number be 50 rather than 100, considering there's only 129 registered delegates that can sign a petition,
Thank you. That is that in order?
a resolution rather.
Oh,
I'm sorry, journalist Stapleton from Hollywood, California.
okay. So, an amendment. What's a motion? Got it. All right, so we're not calling it a substitute. The original motion is to strike the word, the number 200 and insert 100. The amendment, the proposed amendment to the motion is to strike 100 and put 50. So that's your amendment. All right, any other proposed amendments to the rules? Let's get them all out on the table. All right, no other proposed amendments to the rules. I think we're ready to vote on those aspects of the rules other than these proposed amendments. All in favor, please raise your voting cards. And this does require a 2/3 vote, so raise your voting cards high so I can see whether we have a 2/3. Good, good. All right, please lower your voting cards. All opposed? Opposed. Good, the 2/3 vote is met, and the rules are adopted other than the number required for signed petitions to become resolutions. So what is in order now is debate on the proposed amendment to the motion. The amendment to the amendment, sorry. Yes. And at the mic. And we'll bring a mic. Yeah. Yes.
Good morning, everyone. Bear Atwood from Jackson, Mississippi. And I do not support the amendment. I know we only have 129 people registered and credentialed at this moment, but that I'm sure will increase dramatically. And, you know, we have this wonderful process of issues hearings where people come and debate and refine the resolutions before they come to the full body, so they come truly ready to debate then. I would really encourage everyone to use those issues hearings and really save the signature process for, you know, very few amendments, so we have time to really make those discussions on Sunday. So, thank you.
Thank you, Bear. I do have a red card, and I would like to have that addressed. You know, we were supposed to have a...
It's my understanding that you do not have to be a credentialed member. Janet Canterbury from Dade County now, I'm sorry, to sign a resolution petition. So this talking about how many people are credentialed, And also, it's my understanding that just as information, that the registration almost doubles with people coming the next day. That Friday is a low ebb.
Yes, thank you, Janet.
Yes.
That's what it says. Janet, yes, thank you, you're correct. The number, on the signatures on petitions, you merely need to be a registered now member, right? A registered, is the vote under credentials? A registered now member. Is that what your point is? Thank you, that is good information, I really appreciate it. So that's what it is. Yes, debate.
I'm Claire Pearce from Fergus Falls, now in Minnesota. It is registered members. I was going to point that out.
Thank you, Claire.
Also, the 200 number is in two different sections. I hope that we're going to cover, that we'll change it in both of them.
Yeah, that's inferred. Yeah. You're correct.
Okay, so, and right now we're debating 50?
That's correct.
Okay, I would like to speak against 50 for 100. We have 188 now members here now, and even if it gets up to 400, I still think that 100 would be, 50 is a little too few for 400.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, Claire. Thank you. Jackie.
Hi, Jackie Hillier, Ohio Now president. I'd like to suggest, not necessarily by way of amending this amendment, but for the future, to set a percentage, like 25%, so that it's not dependent each year on a rising and falling registration, but it is tagged to the registration at the point where the registration has to be recorded and voted upon, and that it is a percentage somewhere around 25%, because the idea is that you shouldn't have a guarantee that your resolution is going to pass because you already have half of the people signing your resolution. The idea of resolution sometimes is to bring out a new issue, something that hasn't been around, doesn't have a lot of credit, and so that something can get to the fore and be heard, maybe not pass that year, but be floating out there. So I don't think the bar should be too high just to get a resolution in. So that's my...
And Jackie, were you speaking in favor of the amendment?
No, I'm not speaking in favor of the amendment. I'm speaking in favor of, in the future,
Right,
changing
right.
it to a percentage.
Yeah, I get
And
it.
doing whatever we're going to do for this conference.
Thank you, yeah, I was I was just wondering if you were speaking in favor or against, but neither, that's fine, yes, okay, so, yes, at the mic, is there more debate, please, at the mic?
Yes, I just would like to speak against the motion or the amended amendment for 50. I believe that 100 is an adequate number, and it makes people move outside of their region to get signatures, and I think that that's part of the discussion process as well. So I'd like to just speak against I'm against the amendment.
Thank you. Is there more debate at the mic, please? Jan?
Hi, Jan Strout, Montana Now, and Chair of Now Board's Program and Campaigns Committee. We have been discussing the broader issue of not only the resolutions, but how do they get implemented, who works on them. I am going to be germane, don't worry. So I'm wondering if I can make a substitute amendment for 25%. Was that just made?
No,
Thank
there
you.
was no motion.
For 25% of the Now members registered at the conference.
25% of the Now members registered at the conference. The proposed substitute amendment would be to strike, okay.
That's a good question.
Right.
When should it be?
Okay.
What point? Right. So when
It's
should
not a
it
fill in
be?
the blank.
I know.
So, Jan, your proposal will be in order at a later moment, but it's not in order just yet. So what's in order now is for you to speak in favor of 50 or opposed to 50.
I'll pass until I can speak to something else. Thank you.
Thank you. And at the mic, Tony.
Okay. Tony Van Pelt from West Pinellas, now in Florida, and I'm a national board member. I'd like to call the question.
And are you calling the question? How is she doing it? I heard a second. So, yes, on all.
Yeah, on
Are you calling the question on the pending, on the amendment, the 50?
all that, whatever the proper language is for the whole motion for the 50 and the 100. So is that all pending matters?
And just on information, so that Jan Strout will know whether her 25% proposal will be out of order. If we do call the question on all pending, it would be out of order. So just on information. If the question is called on all pending matters, then Jan will not be able to propose her 25%. If the question is called on the amendment to the amendment and the amendment, and that's it, then it would be in order. So it's your decision as to how you want to call it.
Okay, I'll just call it on the amendment to the amendment then, so we can have the 25% thing.
So you're calling the question on 50 and 100?
Yes.
No,
No.
just 50. You're just calling it on 50, and that's how we do this. Okay, good. Thank you. The question has been called, and I heard a second. Is there objection to calling the question on 50? There's a red card. Yes, quickly. Deborah.
Hi,
Hiya.
Deborah Northart, Santa Ana, California. Question regarding at what point in the registration process the total numbers of registrants would be determined to decide what 25% would require?
That's not germane right now, but it will be in a couple of seconds.
Okay.
So, so are we ready to vote on, the question has been called on whether the number should be 50. That's the question. Are we ready to vote? All in favor of the number being 50, please raise your voting cards. Right, well, I know, I'm amending it, but that's so that they know. All in favor of the amendment to the amendment, please raise your voting cards. Thank you. All opposed? The amendment to the amendment fails. Now what's in order is the amendment, the 100 number, but I believe we have Jan Strout would like to speak to that amendment.
No, I was trying to make a substitute amendment.
Yes, and
is
so
this
you
the
can now
time?
amend, yes it is.
Okay,
It's not a substitute, it's an amendment to the amendment.
I would like to substitute.
It's not a substitute,
I
it's an
would like to
amendment.
strike the. I'd love somebody who can better present this if they'd like to, but the striking doesn't seem to work, though.
Make an amendment.
Make an amendment to Caleb's amendment.
I would like to amend the amount needed to 25% by the end of midnight on Friday.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It hasn't been seconded, they're still working on the language. And I'm not hearing seconds, just so you know. They let them get the language very, very quickly, because I think it's a legitimate thing.
But that would be, the first full day.
Oh, no, that's right, I'm motioning and seconding, I'm
Exactly,
sorry.
that's what I
Yeah.
said. But if we ever alter the days
Yeah,
that
the
we have
first
the
full day.
conference.
Excuse me, I'd rather put it the first full day of the conference rather than specify the day of the week.
All right, so the amendment to the amendment is as follows, that you would strike the word 200 and insert the word 25% of now members registered at the conference as of
The first full day
the first full day
by
of the conference.
at the end of the day.
As of the end of the first full day of the conference. So let me just read it one more time. Y'all, if you really want to pay attention, please.
Sorry.
I love doing that. You want to, the proposed amendment to the amendment is to strike the word 200 now members and insert the following. 25% of the now members registered as of midnight as of the end of the first full day of the conference. Strike the word midnight. So it would be signed by, signed by the 25% of now members registered for the conference as of the end of the first full day of the conference. On information, Did you mean midnight? Did you mean 9 p.m.? Close of business?
I would say
Yes,
midnight.
close of business.
Close
of business?
Close of business. Close of business.
Yeah.
And
right.
this is only the
exactly.
signatures, not the actual closing
Correct.
of the submission of the resolution.
Correct, yes. So as of the close of business on the first full day of the conference. So that's how we'll word it.
Thank you for your help.
Thank you. All right, if you have debate on this proposed amendment to the amendment, please go to the mic. Does it need to be seconded?
Second.
Okay, it has been seconded, thank you. All right, on debate, real quick. We don't want to take all day. We've got some wonderful, amazing elected officials from the Illinois legislature, and it's really important to get through this. So yes, red card.
Elizabeth Crum, now Mid-Atlantic Region. Point of information, could you tell us how many people have registered for the conference?
180 some.
No, I mean pre-registered, what the count is.
Pre-registered?
The total
About
number?
500, a little over 500.
Thank you.
Yes. All right, on debate, please go fast. We really want to get to our elected officials.
So we just voted down 50, and that, right now, that looks like it would be less than 50. You know, I think we need to have a substantial portion of the conference because there are so many other ways to bring your resolution forward where they can be debated fully.
Thank you.
Hi, Susan Waldman, Morris County, New Jersey.
Hi, Susan.
Hi. I think that close of business on Friday is too soon. There are so many people that arrive all day during the day. Saturday, they can't get here on Friday. So I say close of business on the second day, since we're not doing days of the week.
All right, I understand your argument. It's not, we can't amend it. We can't consider that as an amendment because there's already too many amendments, but I understand the sentiment.
Okay.
Thank you. Gina.
I'd like to call the question on the amendment to the amendment.
And all other pending
And
matters?
all other pending matters.
So the amendment has, the question has been called on all pending matters. This requires, is there any objection, hold on, is there, yes, red card. Is it really a red card?
It's a point of information.
Yes.
Earlier, Sharon Hayes, Illinois Now.
Hi, Sharon.
Earlier discussion, someone said this was in 2 places. So are we talking about 25% in both places?
Sure. Yes, it would be conforming, yes. So the question has been called on all pending matters. Is there objection to moving to a vote? Seeing none. The first question is on the amendment to the amendment, which would be the 25% threshold as of the end of the first full day of the conference. All in favor, please raise your vote. All in favor of adopting that amendment, raise your voting cards. And this requires just a majority. All right. Raise them high because there is a majority vote requirement. All right, thank you. Put them down. All opposed to 25%, please raise your cards. It fails. Do you think it clearly fails? Yes, the 25% amendment does fail. Now what's in order is voting on changing the number 2. Now what is in order is the question of changing the number 200 to 100. Right? So all in favor of changing the number 200 to 100, please raise your voting cards. And lower your cards. All opposed, please raise your cards. And that clearly passes. Thank you very much. We have amended the rules. Thank you all so much. The rules are now adopted as amended. Do you have anything else?
Thank you, everyone. As part of the rules, we will be, during the sessions, when you want to come to speak to the mic, there you go up to the mic, you need to talk to the mic monitor who currently will be sitting right next to the microphone. If there's some confusion about what needs to be done, you need to come up to the front to meet with a member of the Rules Committee. The Rules Committee is made up of myself as chair, Gilda Yahtzee, and Bear Atwood. Would you please stand up so that people can see you and come up front? Yeah, what our process is, What will happen when you come up to talk to Gilda, Bear, or myself is we will listen to what your question is. We will help you determine which color card is. We will not be ruling on whether it's appropriate or not. Only the chair who is presiding at the time that you come to the mic can do that. So I just want to make clear that what that process is. And to help you a little bit in knowing what kind of parliamentary things you're asking for, if you go to page 39 of your program book, there's a page called Robert Rules at a Glance, and it tells you the kinds of motions that you can make. Red cards basically stop the process and you can come to the front of the line. The others, you have to stand in line until your turn comes. So use this kind of as your cheat sheet to try to get an idea of what you need to do. And then if you have questions, come see us, and then the mic monitor will help you. The mic monitor, if also does not understand, will also help you out.
Thank you so much, Joanne. I really appreciate your help. The next order of business, and we do have a red card, yes?
Yeah, I'm a mic monitor with a roving mic only for people in scooters. Just
Thank
so
you.
you know, let me know and I'll come to you.
Thank you so much. So the next order of business is the nominating committee's report. And I'm going without objection, I'm going to ask. Sorry? Oh, we have to adopt the agenda. Yes, I'm sorry. The next order of business is to adopt the agenda. Jackie, you have a red card?
That's what I was going to say. We need to adopt the agenda.
Thank you. The next order of business is to adopt the agenda. So where are we? All right. So do I hear a motion to adopt the agenda? Thank you very much. It's been moved and seconded to adopt the agenda. If there is discussion, please proceed to the mic. Jackie?
Jackie Steingold, Wayne County Now. Now, I know that not everybody's on a diet, but there's no mention of meals. So just for people that don't come to Now conferences every year, they're kind of timing, there's a half hour from 12:15 to 12:45. We do want you to be sustained by some food.
Yeah, some people have to eat, like for their health and all. Thank you. Yes, we did not put that specifically in there, but we did put breaks, and there is a snack. This hotel has a grab-and-go thing. And by the way, I want you to know we do on both today and tomorrow. We'll have political roundtables, and be sure and go grab a sandwich, grab a pre-made salad. You can just go get it, pay for it, and come on back to the plenary room so we can have a really great political organizing session. Is there any other discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, all in favor of adopting the agenda, please raise your voting cards. And lower them. And all opposed. The agenda has been adopted. Thank you all very much. Now what is in order is the presentation of the report from the nominating committee, and without objection, I will ask B.J. Starr of the election committee to preside over this portion of the plenary. Thank you. B.J. and Marion Bradley, who is the chair of the nominating committee, please come up.
Good morning, all. Florida women are nothing like Marco Rubio, but when we are out of state where it's so very humid, we get very dry. So please forgive us for acting like a terrible person. Oh, I thank you. Florida's great. And a good shout out to the Florida women who are here. We have a big delegation. Good morning. Carol King is the chair of this committee. She is having a transportation problem today, so I am acting in her stead. So the next item of business is the report of the nominating committee. And this chair will recognize Marion Bradley, the chair of the nominating committee.
Hey. The now bylaws state the following in Article 6, Officers. Section 2, Qualifications and Terms of Office. All national officers shall have been members of NOW for at least 4 years immediately prior to election and shall have served at least 1 year as a chapter or state officer or national board member. Each term of office shall be 4 years and shall begin 30 days following the election at the national conference. 4-year terms shall begin with officer elections held in 1993. Each officer shall serve no more than 2 consecutive terms. Section 4, Nominations. Nominations for officer tickets shall be submitted to the nominating committee in writing, together with an information sheet about each candidate on the ticket, in accordance with Article 9, Section 1B, provided that nothing in this shall be interpreted to require tickets for the election of national board members in the regions. Each officer ticket submitted to the committee must contain a nomination for every officer position. After the report of the nominating committee is given at the national conference, nominations for additional officer tickets will be taken from the floor. The nominating committee reports that 1 officer ticket as follows. For President, Terry O'Neill. For Vice President membership, Chitra Panjabi. And for Vice President Action, Bonnie Grabenhofer.
We want to thank Marion and her committee. They've worked very, very hard on this. You have heard the report of the nominating committee for President Terry O'Neill, for Vice President membership, Chitra Panjabi, and for Vice President Action, Bonnie Grabenhofer. We will now consider nominations from the floor. Are there any nominations from the floor? Are there any nominations from the floor? Hearing none, nominations are closed. According to the latest edition of the now Parliamentary Authority, Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised, page 443, if there is a single nominee, the chair simply declares the nominee is elected. Therefore, the chair declares the nominating committee's ticket elected as follows. For President, Terry O'Neill. For Vice President membership, Chitra Panjabi. Last but not least, Vice President Action, Bonnie Grabenhofer. There will be no elections Saturday night from 7 until 10, so enjoy yourselves. I'll take my marker with you a while. Congratulations.
Thank you. I want to thank BJ Starr and Carol King, who is not here yet but will be with us, and Marion Bradley, and your committees. Will the members of the election committee, if they're here, and all the members of the nominating committee, please stand. You know, I believe, and I have experienced now as an organization of radical inclusion, and your committees have worked very hard to make sure that the entire process is welcoming and inclusive, and I cannot thank you enough for all of the hard work that you've done. Is that a red card, Tony?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yes.
So I'm just rising to ask, since this is what the case is, then can we say that you all have been elected by acclamation?
You know, yes, they changed Robert's rules. According to Dorothy, there's no acclamation thing that happens. But is that a motion for acclamation?
It's a motion for acclamation.
Bonnie and Chitra, would you come up here just a moment?
Ride this for a minute. Okay. And I know we are stressed for time, but I'm so excited. I want to recognize and thank the campaign team, our campaign manager, Liz Crum. Liz, you're getting a shout out. And our whole team. Stand up. Stand up, the team that's been working on this.
And China Fortson, who is not able to be here, but has been an amazing, amazing campaign manager for me. A red card at the mic.
A point of information, when the administration hires people such as accountants and so forth, would you please vet them and make sure they're feminists?
Thank you so much. That's a wonderful suggestion. I do appreciate it. Can you identify yourself?
I'm Sue Gibson from Missouri.
Thanks, Sue. All right, the next order of business, and another red card, Linda. Yes.
I'm Linda Berg, Now's political director, and is it not true that even if we're not having an elections, that we still will hold a PAC auction at the same time that voting would have occurred?
On information, there will be a kick-ass PAC auction during the time that voting would have occurred, and we want to do this. I understand that there is some sentiment, and I don't know who wants to make the motion to amend the agenda. At 11:30 tomorrow morning, on the agenda are the candidate speeches. There are 3 people who are ready to make speeches, but we don't need the full time for that, and we were hoping to be able, I think someone had suggested taking some time out of that plenary and putting it into the political roundtable for Saturday. Without objection? Without objection, we will simply do that. All right. 30 minutes. Without objection, we'll take 30 minutes and move it into the round table. And we will have posted around the timing on that. And the next question is, there is time on the agenda this evening for Meet the Candidates, meetings with the regional caucuses, and we do intend to do that. You all deserve to be able to ask your questions and find out what our vision is for the next 4 years, and indeed the next decade of the women's movement. And so we will be doing that as planned. All right. All right, so we to welcome us and begin the work of this weekend, we have an extraordinary number of members of the Illinois Senate, members of the Illinois House of Representatives. We have a representative, a sister in the struggle for the union movement. Karen Lewis is here. What I would ask is that you would all join me up on the stage now. Elaine Nekrtiz, Heather Steans, Karen Lewis, Robin Gable, Maria Barrios, and Cynthia Soto, to welcome us all, and Mary Flowers, who has joined us, and to welcome us all on the stage. Please join us. So I'm going to say just a few words of introduction and ask each of our officials to say just a couple of words of welcome here. First is Elaine Nekrtiz. Elaine Nekrtiz is now serving her 6th term in the Illinois House of Representatives. And we are thrilled to have her here and just say a couple of words. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Terry, and congratulations to you and your new officers. It's very exciting. I would like to add my congratulations to Jan. There's no more worthy recipient of a woman of achievement than Jan Schakowsky. I have the good fortune of having her not as my personal member of Congress, but in the district that I represent, and she is a fighter and a great feminist. I'd like to welcome you to Illinois, where we are celebrating the 100-year anniversary of women's suffrage in Illinois, which is a little bit longer than the rest of the country. We're very excited about that. But I would also like to throw out a challenge to the women of now, because we still, in state legislatures across the country, don't have enough women in the legislature. Nationally, there were 24% of women serving in state legislatures. To me, we've been stuck there since the early 1990s. This is one of the challenges that we face as women, is recruiting women and getting more women to serve. We're fairly fortunate in the Illinois General Assembly. We have 32%. We had a great class of women that came in 2012, but obviously we have a lot of work to do. So while it's fabulous that we're celebrating 100 years of suffrage, we have a lot of work to do to recruit women and get women to run. Because when we run, we win in the same percentages as men. We just don't run as much. And what the research would show is that we need someone to ask us and some organizational support behind us when we do that. And I think that's a perfect role for now to play, especially locally, is to seek women out and say, we're asking you to run and we will support you when you do that. Because it's great when we all go out and vote, and I'm sure all of you do, but if there's nobody to vote for, if there's only someone to vote against, then we have a problem with that. So that's my challenge to you, is to go out and find those women to run, because we really need a lot more women, both at the state, at every level of government, but the statistics would really bear that out locally. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Illinois State Senator Heather Steans, who has represented District 7 since 2008. She has introduced civil union bills and freedom to marry bills in Illinois, which we are going to pass sooner than later, as well as a host of other things like Medicaid reform. Senator Steans, thank you so much for being here.
All right, it's a pleasure to be here, you guys. Thanks, and it's great to see the crowd filling up here. I think you're going to get to your 500 that were registered. Welcome to Chicago. It's a great place to be. We have a long history here, I think, of advancing rights for women, but we have a lot more work to do. I don't know if any of you saw in the paper today. I saw that there was a headline that talked about how we were closing the gap. Women were closing the gap. I'm like, great, what gap are we closing? Well, what I saw in that gap we were closing is that we now cheat on our spouses in closer numbers to men cheating on their spouses. Great. I think we have some more work to do. We're still way behind in how much we earn. We're still way behind in how many women lead the companies and lead in the legislators, Elaine was pointing out. We're still way behind on accumulating wealth. I think these are a little bit more important than how much we are now cheating on our spouses. So there's a lot of work for us here in this room to be doing. We're fortunate in Illinois. We did make some progress this year, but even here, we have a long way to go. Many states, it's been alluded to, and so much of this is really happening at the state rights, trying to pick away at women's rights on choice and all sorts of things. Here in Illinois, we actually had a real success this year. I was the lead sponsor in the Senate, and Camille Lilly in the House passes as well, and the governor is going to sign it, a comprehensive sex education bill. Yay, thank you guys. It's unbelievable to me that in this day and age, when 2/3 of seniors in high school say that they've had sex by the time they're graduating, yet we still bury our heads in the sand and say we don't need to talk about birth control and other sorts of things. This bill actually requires us to make sure we're providing medically accurate, comprehensive information to our teens. And teens here, as a third of our women, teenagers here, a third of chlamydia and gonorrhea cases here in Illinois are to teens. I mean, clearly it's happening. We need to get that information. So this was a great step. We did pass on Valentine's Day the right to marry for our gay, lesbian partners here in the state. The House is going to get there. They did not get to vote, but we're going to get the vote there in the House. The women up here on this stage, I'm hoping, are all going to be a part of that. Clearly, with what happened to the defense of Mayor Jack being overturned, I think makes it even more important. Now, if we do not get this passed, as you guys all know, we're not going to be providing equal access to all the important benefits of marriage to our gay and lesbian friends here. So it's critical right now. And we need your help on the ground to do it. This is the right time. I'm glad you guys are here to lend your voice to this effort. You guys have been real leaders in it, and we thank you for that. So thanks for coming to Illinois, and please keep helping us do the right thing.
Thank you, Senator. And now it's my real pleasure to introduce another sister in the struggle for union rights, Karen Lewis, the president of the Chicago Teachers Union.
Thank you, sisters and brothers. So, first of all, welcome to Chicago. I'm so glad you're here. Chicago in the summer it's extraordinary. Other times of the year, not so much, but take advantage of the beauty of what you're going to see around this area. Spend some time in Grant Park. I know I have a short period of time, but what I want to talk about is that we are at the crossroads, and it's up to women to make the decision about education, because women are the first educators. We are the first educators. We educate our children at home, we educate people in the street, and we spend an awful lot of time thinking about what's best for children. I can tell you that what's best for children is to not starve them out of an education. What is best for children are fair taxes that include a reasonable amount. We have to have a fair tax in Illinois. I'm so glad to see legislators here because we do not have that here. We have a flat tax, and that is not good. We are at a situation where there's an opportunity for us to increase the revenue, because that's what this is ultimately about. That speaks to our personal budgets, and those of us that control the budgets know where and how we need to spend that money. But the other issue at hand is that we cannot, will not allow chaos to reign, and that is what's going on right now. And I enjoin you to be careful when we use the word reform, because the word reform has taken on a very, very ugly connotation. It does not mean reform, it means annihilate when we're talking about education. Reform is a pleasant word, it sounds good. And everyone knows that our education systems need to be reevaluated, but they do not need to be destroyed. And what we have right now is corporate education annihilation. And we need to be honest about it. We need to have honest conversations about race, class, gender, sexual orientation. These are all conversations that must be had and must be had honestly. And I will tell you that as long as we work together, we can continue to improve education, because, sisters and brothers, I'm going to tell you right now, there is a lie being perpetrated across this country about how bad public education is. It is our responsibility to tell the truth, to continue to tell the truth, and stop allowing the media and other people to reframe the truth into a lie. Thank you very much, and enjoy your conference.
Just so you know, Karen just told me, I didn't get a chance to say how excited I am to be in the presence of Patricia Ireland and Ellie Smeal. And our next speaker is Robin Gable, State Representative since 2010. She is now Vice Chair of the Appropriations for Human Services Committee. She is a champion of ours for affordable, accessible health care, education, and economic development. These are all issues that affect women every day of the week. Thank you very much for being here, Robin.
Well, good morning. Welcome to Chicago. I hope that you all had a great July 4th. Did you get to see the fireworks? All right. And I do hope that you get to see a lot more of it as well. You're right here by the park. It's really beautiful. You can walk. You can really have a wonderful, wonderful time. So it really brings me great joy to be here today with you. I first got involved in politics in the women's movement in the 1970s. So I would not be here today if it weren't for the women's movement. I worked in the feminist women's health centers for many years, and I'm proud to say that the Feminist Women's Health Center in Chicago is still around, the Chicago Women's Health Center. And I am just so pleased that I am able to be here today with all of you. So, you know, I think that it is really important that the issues that we were grappling with in the 1970s are still some of the issues that we're grappling with today. Yeah. And when I talked to people about it, they were like, oh my God, I don't think I can do that struggle all over again. For example, women getting C-sections at a rate of almost 40%. Yeah. What, women forgot to have babies? I don't think so. So, you know, and I think the three major issues that we're still dealing with is reproductive rights, as we've said many times up here already, that the states are trying to take away our rights, trying to overturn everything that Roe v. Wade did. You know, women need to be able to control their own bodies. That's the basic that we're looking at. We're still fighting for equal pay for equal work. In the 1960s, when we first started, women made about 57 cents per every dollar that men made. Today, as Congresswoman said, it's about 77 cents. So we're making progress, but we still have far to go. There is no reason why women should not be paid $1 for every dollar that men get paid. And the third issue that we dealt a lot with in the 70s that we're still addressing today is violence against women. And we're now looking at trafficking of women and children, and not only in other countries, less economically developed countries than the US, but also right here in the US and right here in Illinois. And that is an issue that I think is kind of newer from the 1970s, but clearly an issue around violence against women that we have to address and we have to take seriously. And I know that we have some issues in the legislature that we're looking at that very issue. So my time is up. I just want to thank you so much for leading the fight on these issues. I really want you to have a productive conference because I view myself as a grassroots leader. So I'm looking for the grassroots to tell me how to lead. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Tony Berrios is serving her 6th term in the Illinois House of Representatives and was the first Puerto Rican woman to serve in the House, as well as the first woman to hold the title Chairwoman for the Board of Hispanic Caucus Chairs. Maria Tony Berrios, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you very much. I too welcome you to Chicago on this 4th of July weekend, which is actually amazing. You guys have a really good crowd here, and it's a holiday weekend. But we women don't rest. We like to work. So even on this weekend, I'm super excited that all of you are here today. And even though my official title is state rep, the most important title I own is woman. As a woman and as a legislator, that is why I support NOW. I believe in the ideals that this organization works to push forward. Over the 4th of July weekend, or holiday I should say, I was really thinking about the ideas and hopes that the founders of our nation shared on the birth date of the United States. And I think that the same basic rights and equalities that unite us here today are the things that the founders of our nation also hoped and fought for. In our time, we are the radical, progressive, and brilliantly minded group of individuals who believe in something better. Something like the crazy notion that women are equals and therefore we deserve to be treated as such. And that no matter who you choose to love and spend your life with, that decision should be respected by others. And that my body means my decision. Those are just a few of the issues that brought me to now. The best kind of patriot is one who continually questions authority and does not listen blindly to government, but instead is an active participant in the lawmaking process. That is why I was the sponsor of equal pay for equal work between men and women in Illinois. And I'm also a co-sponsor of marriage equality and legislation for equal rights for women. One of the things I applaud now for is the ability to bring important topics like choice and marriage equality to the forefront of government and media. I hope you take full advantage of this conference and participate in it as much as possible. It's gatherings like this where we can learn from one another and from each other's experiences and perspectives. I'm excited to see so many of you here, especially on this Friday morning. As Benjamin Franklin stated, without continual growth and progress, such words as improvement, achievement, and success have no meaning. And that is why we are here today, to instill growth and progress for the betterment of society, because we are stronger together. Thank you.
Representative Cynthia Soto, who is now serving her fourth term, has been a friend of working families, working women and men for her entire career in the legislature. Please welcome Cynthia Soto.
It's still morning, so hello everyone. It gives me great pleasure to welcome everyone here to this beautiful city of Chicago and state of Illinois. So I'm going to start with just thanking the organization for all that you do. Just the energy in here. I mean, every time we get up here or we're talking about some issues, I mean, I can feel it. I can feel the energy. You know what? I'm that type of a person. I have a lot of energy. And some of them up here will let you know. I wake up with a lot of energy. I can't fall asleep because I have too much energy, because, you know, we're always trying to break down those barriers, aren't we? Yes. So it's something that we continue to put energy in. So, you know what? I just want to congratulate the national organization, congratulate the president and the board members. Thank you for all you do, because let me tell you, we need you. The women need you, and thank you for doing everything that you're doing. Men, we need you too. So I was very impressed to know that the National Organization of Women is the largest organization of feminist activists in the United States. And to hear that now has 500,000 contributing members and 550 chapters in all the 50 states and the District of Columbia. Very impressive. Good job. Give yourself a pat in the back. So, and I want to go through this and mention it. I know we only have a few minutes, but we have a lot of new members too. And I think that it's something that we also have to kind of remind each other about. Since the founding in 1966, NOW's goals have been to eliminate discrimination and harassment in the workplace, schools, and justice system, and all other sectors of society. Secure abortion, birth control, and reproductive rights for all women, and all forms of violence against women, eradicate racism, sexism, and homophobia, promote equality and justice in our society. The National Organization for Women is the largest organization of feminist activists in the United States since their founding in 1976. NOW's goal has been to take action to bring about equality for all women, both in the actions NOW takes in its position on issues that are principled, uncompromising, and often ahead of their time. now is a leader, not a follower in the public opinion. Is that true? Yeah! So I'm just going to mention a few pieces of legislation, and I'm going to wrap it up because I know that she's already putting up that little 2 minutes. Okay, recent legislation in the legislature has been House Resolution 421 that celebrates the 100th anniversary of the 1913 Illinois law granting women the right to vote. Yes! House Bill 3346 provides a fiscal year of 2014, the Illinois Discharge Service Member Task Force creates a task force that shall include all the needs of women veterans with respect to issues including but not limited to compensation, rehabilitation, outreach, healthcare, and issues facing women, veterans, and community, and offer recommendations on how to best alleviate these needs, which shall not include the task force annual report to the General Assembly. House Bill 958 provides a domestic battery is a felony for. If the defendant has two other prior convictions under the code, domestic battery provides that the battery is class 3. So that's another good piece of legislation. Lastly, House Bill 3175 is the American Cancer Society. The American Cancer Society estimates more than 230,000 new breast cancer cases will be diagnosed in the United States this year. To provide assistance to these battling this horrible issue, this legislation helps create and implement an educational campaign to inform breast cancer patients about the availability and coverage of breast reconstruction prostheses and other options. So again, I want to thank you for all you do, and I'm going to wrap it up because I know that my time is up. I had 3 pages, so I kind of thought, after hearing my colleagues here, I said, I need to just mention that and just wrap it up. So thank you again, and have a great time. Chicago is beautiful, and we open our arms to you. So thank you, have a good day, and enjoy your conference.
Representative Mary Flowers is here with us as well, and we weren't sure she was going to be able to join us. We're very grateful for her work for women, for women and men in Illinois, and we're really thrilled and grateful for you to be here. Representative Flowers.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I've had the pleasure of serving in the Illinois House of Representatives for the last 29 years. And I also had the pleasure of serving with Jan Schakowsky. So I know the fighter that she was, and I know the fighter that she is, so I could truly say that she was truly worthy of the award that was presented to her today. And for Karen Lewis, I want to thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I cannot say enough. When I look at the deterioration of education, not only here in the state of Illinois, city of Chicago, but across this country, we should really be appalled, because we as women know the struggles and the hard times that we are having just trying to educate our children so that one day they may be better than what we are today. You know, you remember, that's what our parents fought for us. But somehow, someplace, we found it okay and acceptable that our children's education can be abused and misused, despite the fact our tax dollars are paying for it. And before I go any further, let me please welcome you, and such a pleasure to see you again. Let me please welcome you to the great state of Illinois and the city of Chicago, because this really is a wonderful place. Despite the fact all that you may read about, all that you have heard, this is a beautiful city. But once again, we have to have an insult level and get control of our tax dollars, get control of our community. We cannot continue to be dictated to as to how to raise our children. I remember I had to fight DCFS because they want to say we couldn't whoop our kids anymore. But now they say, if you whoop your kids, maybe you could do this. But there was a time, a couple years ago, had you whooped your kids, DCFS would have came in to get you. But it's just such a difficult time as parents. But more importantly, I am very proud of some of the legislation that I've passed throughout the years. And what I'm pushing now is the financial transaction tax. And to know that we are thinking, if you could imagine, for those of you who may be retired, if you can imagine someone is thinking about going into your retirement, withdrawing some of your funds to pay for a bill that's due 33 years from now. You want to live for today, not worry about what's going to happen 33 years from now. You are not guilty of misappropriating anything. You worked hard, you played by the rules, and you followed the contract. Now, they want to tell you that they want us, the retirees, to pay for our health insurance. The health insurance that was promised to us to be free, but it never was free because we paid into it. And what people are forgetting is that this is not a government give out. This is not a government giveaway. This is not a handout, just like Social Security. No one is talking about how Illinois is one of the Social Security offset states. We're not even getting all of our Social Security. And now you want to take away our pensions? That's not acceptable. You want to lower our pay? That's not acceptable. You want to lower our income? That's not acceptable. Enough is enough, ladies and gentlemen. And I want to also say that I know that the Affordable Care Act is here to stay, and I can't wait until it's fully implemented, but I wish we could just move fast forward to a single-payer health care system. If we had single payer here in the state of Illinois, we would not have to have this debate on the prescription drugs. Because we could guarantee that the prices would be affordable. We could guarantee that doctors will have access to their patients, and we would not have to impede or have the insurance industry to impede on us as far as our doctors are concerned. Why am I paying insurance company when they have a fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders, not to me as a patient? Enough is enough. Why is it that the insurance company is telling my doctors how long I can stay in the hospital, what type of prescription drugs I need to take? Enough is enough. Where is our insult level? And more importantly, you know what state I really love? I love North Dakota. I love North Dakota. North Dakota has its own bank. So they don't worry about taxing the people and businesses out of state. They have created their own bank. And when they need monies to raise revenue, they borrow from their bank at a cheaper rate. They borrow from the bank. They don't borrow you and I out of our homes. Where is our insult level? Health, education, and our health care, we must do more to bring attention to we the people. I believe in equal opportunity for everybody. If Ida B. Wells and Susan B. Anthony was here today, they would be mad as hell and say, I'm not taking this anymore. I thought this would have been over with. Enough is enough. And I want to say in closing, we've come a long ways, baby, but we still have a long ways to go. Thank you very much.